Check 1, 2.
Go! Curious about real estate? Yes! Then you've come to the right place. Get the knowledge you need. Get over the fear and get started. This is the Michael Quarles Real Estate Show with your host, Michael Quarles.
Hello, everybody. Michael Quarles with Podcast 91. Today, we're doing the 5 questions sent in by investors like yourself. And remember, if you have a question, send it to support@bsffacademy.com. That's support@bsffacademy.com. Here we go. Question number 1. If you get an incoming call from your direct marketing and you learn that the home is listed with an agent, what do? You mention time and time again you don't buy houses that are listed in the MLS. I have a deal where the seller's listing expires this week. They are desperate to sell and the numbers look good. Well, first of all, I think it's an ethical thing. If a seller has agreed to list their property to the real estate professional, it's unethical, in my opinion, to interfere with that listing and coerce that seller into getting that listing canceled. But however, if the listing has expired, there's nothing wrong with that at all. But keep in mind that if a seller starts talking to you and starts negotiating with you while they have a listing, then they're absolutely obligated in most occasions to paying a listing fee. And them not paying that fee, again, is unethical. So, and then at the end of the day, here's what you really have to ask yourself. If the seller will get out of a contract to benefit themselves, why wouldn't they just get out of your contract if another investor came along that said, hey, I'll give you an extra $500? I mean, how can you trust someone who is trying to do something that's really not correct and then think that they're not going to do that same thing to you? To me, it's that easy. And so there is a difference between an expired listing. After it's expired, go ahead and start talking to them. But prior to that expiration, absolutely don't get them or don't coerce them into talking to you about buying the house. We simply just say thank you. When they say that the house is listed, becomes unlisted or canceled, please give us a call back so we can set an appointment to come out and buy your house. And that is as far as we go. Great question, though. Question number 2. Being that you don't do any rehabbing when you buy property, and then you sell as is, how do you determine the as is value? The ARV is easy to arrive at. But how are you arriving at your as-is value to consistently be netting $27,000 without doing any repairs? Much like an appraiser would, when we're talking to a seller, we're running their property through 7 data sets. And those data sets are going to get us pretty close. Of course, naturally, they're all looking at it blindly because they haven't ever seen the house. I mean, it's just data. However, it starts justifying some numbers for us because we need those numbers to be justified in order to get it under contract. And we're going to take those numbers at face value. And assuming that the seller is willing to sell at 60 cents on the dollar, we're going to wrap that thing up on a cash purchase contract and fall forward. Our next fall forward is a real estate agent at BPO. So we're going to pay $100 to a real estate professional in the local marketplace. And they're going to be the boots on the ground, the eyes and the ears. They're going to go in there doing an interior and exterior BPO. At that point, we're going to get real close to, this is what it's worth because it's in this condition. So we're relying heavily on the agent to understand how to actually do and create a BPO, but if they understand that, then they're somewhat simple. That number is going to justify our contract or not justify our contract. We're either going to kick the deal or continue with the deal. If their BPO comes back accurately, or at least at a percentage point of what we think, then we're going to hire a professional appraiser in the area, and they're going to go out there and do a full-bore appraisal on the property. That's going to cost me $300, $350, $425, depending on how big the property is and how fast we need it. And that's absolutely going to be an appraiser based upon as-is condition, because appraisers don't ever do ARV unless they're doing a new home construction or something like that. So that number is going to come back to us, and it's going to support the BPO, which is supporting the 7 data sets. And I'm going to have upwards of $525 invested in a property. I'm going to have a contract that says I can buy a property at 60 cents on the dollar or less, and I'm fine with that. I'm fine with spending the money. and going through that routine because it's safe. It's a check and balance system, and we all should have check and balance systems when we buy properties. It can't be what we think we know. It has to be what other people know too. And so fall forward and just go through that routine.
Thanks for listening to Buy, Sell, Fix, Flip. We'll be right back. Are you running out of leads? It's time you tried Yellow Letters at yellowletters.com. Get motivated seller leads through yellow letters, postcards, zip letters, typed professional letters, greeting cards, door hangers, and business cards. Yellow Letters is a full-service marketing company created with your success in mind. Get the personal attention you need to get your direct mail campaign started and get in touch at yellowletters.com.
And we are back in 3, 2, 1.
Question number 3. When you make an offer, you present the offer to the seller as their walkaway money. I'm assuming you are paying off all the seller's property tax and HOAs, homeowners association, prorations, plus HOA transfer fees. Is that correct? We're doing the traditional costs involved in the seller. So if they have any back owed dollars, so liens, involuntary liens in this case, to HOA, then they're going to subtract that from whatever their net is at the end of the day. I mean, we'll come up with those kinds of things during our closing and our property search that we won't know now. But what we're doing is, we're going to pay off your mortgage, your voluntary liens, property taxes, that kind of stuff. But if we find something that is an encumbrance that they didn't make us aware of, then they're going to eat that one. But as far as the transfer taxes and property transfer tax and all that kind of stuff, or HOA transfer, yeah, we're going to cover all those things. And it's at the end of the day, the little bit of money that it costs to cover those things is so insignificant, especially when you're buying at 55 to 60% of value, that we're going to fall forward and buy them. Don't sweat the small stuff. Question number 4: how are you calculating the prorations into the offer, not having done title work, knowing what the prorations are? And again, the prorations, depending on what's owed against the property, will tell us if that's something that the seller's going to pay for because it's an involuntary lien. And we're only assuming that the voluntary liens, because we have the mortgage statement, we know what the payoff is on that. If they owe any back taxes, they have to bring those back up current. If they've collected rent, maybe it's a rental, they're going to give us a proration on that. If they have a deposit, they're going to pay us back that. If they have a mechanics lien, it's coming off of them, their side. If they have, we just did one where we had a water filter, cost the seller $1,000 because the water filter company put a lien on the property for $1,000. And those things you're going to find out, and you start renegotiating. The sellers kind of pretty much understand. But when we talk to a seller about net numbers, we're only talking to them about a net number after we pay off their mortgage and we pay all the traditional closing costs. Water filters are not a traditional closing cost. Any involuntary liens are not traditional closing costs. Just fall forward, buy a house. Question number 5. What are some of the resources that you guys are using to perform your market analysis? Well, we use, of course, local realtors or agents or brokers in the marketplace. We do a lot of stuff with Trulia. We have our 7 data sets, so we know some stuff there. So it's pretty simple for us. Yeah, at the end of the day, it just takes great relationships with people, boots on the ground in the local marketplace. Yeah, and they want to work for us too. I mean, realtors, they want to get paid that 6%, bless their soul. Don't take advantage of them from a perspective of abuse, but take advantage of them because they want you to, from a perspective, they want to earn your business and earn money at the same time. And don't be afraid to pay a realtor. I mean, if you think about it, we're making 40%. They're making 6%. There's enough money to go around. If we had to offer them a little bit more to run an analysis for us, or even at the same time open up the door every time the contractor needs to get into it, or schedule some stuff with contractors in the local marketplace to bring it up to just not even a rehab status, but just the showing status. Sometimes one of the things we offer sellers is the fact that they can just leave the property. Well, if they do that, then someone has to go in there and scrap it out. That's not rehabbing, guys. That's just scrapping out a house so people don't hurt themselves while they're looking at it. Well, someone has to orchestrate that, and you got to pay for that stuff. Don't worry about committing resources to people that are willing to work hard for you. I mean, it's part of life, and you should rejoice in that, the fact that you have those folks on the ground that can do that for you. Just understand, I appreciate the opportunity to do the podcast today. Some cool things are coming to us. I am about ready to pull the plug on the coaching. I have almost enough students, and I knew I would get here, and here we're close. And so you guys are going to find out within the next just a little bit that that's done. So if any of you that want to get into the coaching program, now's your time, or it's absolutely going to be gone. We're doing some stuff with the daily deals. You've had some good feedback on that. We're going to do more of them, make them more daily, and then we're going to fall forward. But I appreciate you. Until next time, bye-bye.
Thanks for listening to the Michael Quarles Real Estate Show. Get more info and stay in touch at michaelquarles.com.